Will the superintendent please call the roll for the regular Woburn School Committee meeting of September 14th, 2022?
Sure. Ms. Chisholm?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Present.
Ms. Crowley?
Present.
Mr. Kissel?
Here.
Mr. Lipset?
Here.
Mr. Mulrennan? Dr. Wells?
Here. Mr. Mulrennan could not make the meeting tonight. He sends his regrets. We did have to change it, and I appreciate the committee's indulgence in changing it to meet with my work schedule. I was away the other day. Okay, first up, approval of minutes for 7/7/22.
Motion to approve.
We have a second? Have a second. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Charlie, did you want to come up and speak? Mr. Viola, our representative from the City Council in Ward 7, Alden. Thank you, Mr. Viola.
Thank you, Chairman Wells, members of the school committee. On behalf of President Concannon and the entire City Council, I want to express the best wishes from the City Council to the students, parents, faculty, and staff of Woburn Public Schools for this year. Unfortunately, President Concannon wanted to be here tonight, but something came up and he couldn't be here. But I'm here in his place and want to wish everybody the best of luck this year in school.
Okay. And we appreciate your presence at the meeting and relaying the things that are happening in the school, and feel free to let us know if any feedback from the council.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're not going to have a student rep report, but maybe the superintendent can update us on that.
Yeah, so Mr. Martin sent me, instead of the student rep, just a couple updates relative to the high school. Opening day was a tremendous success. The restorative justice circles will begin this Friday. The teachers are doing an amazing job of taking attendance now through Power School, which is our new student management system. Updated events, Senior Portrait Day is the 20th. Underclass and faculty photos are the 21st. Back to school night is also on the 21st from 6 to 8:30. And there are class assemblies and student elections early October. And so the intent after the student elections, which are October 5th, there'll be 2 student reps, so that in the future meetings there will always be a student rep present. So just a brief update from Mr. Martin at the high school.
And we understand our student rep is a volleyball player,
She's a volleyball player,
she
so
couldn't
I had
make it,
conflict.
so we wish her and the volleyball team the best.
Right.
Okay. Any questions about the student rep report given by the superintendent?
Just sort of a placeholder, hoping we can get an update on the restorative justice program at the high school.
Sure, yeah.
That's,
So
I think a really interesting
that was
program.
over the course of the summer. I know that some of the leadership team at the high school did a training, and then during the first staff day, I believe that the high school teachers modeled the process. So in the near future, we can provide an update.
Yeah, I think we also want to have the new principal come before, so we can probably combine those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was my question.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I'm out of practice. I forgot.
It's all right. I'm on a loose ship here. All right, so now we have reports and presentations of the superintendent and staff.
Great. So first of all, we're back, and having been in all schools, it is so nice to have everybody back in school. The kids are excited to be back. I think largely our staff, everyone's really, it's a different energy level this year as it's been opposed to the past 2 years even. So it really is exciting to see everybody back in our buildings. I will tell you, I have a brief slide deck. It's not perfect. Some of the issues that we are facing are related to transportation. So we have our regular ed transportation working out some of the traditional hiccups there, and some of the NRT transportation is a little bit more pronounced. We're trying to find other outside transportation companies. We've reached out to 7 companies to try to see if we can get more support for our students. I was also at a meeting this morning with the Merrimack Valley Superintendent Association, and we are going to try to reach to the state to see if there's anything that can be done at the state level. So to try to support getting our kids to school. So it's a real issue. It's a regional, statewide issue. So I want to own that publicly because yes, we're back, but you know it's a work in progress. Over the summer, there are a myriad of things that happen to get us ready for school, and so we just picked a few. We've had ninth grade orientation. The middle schools also do orientations, collect donations for the Tanner Closet. We've done physicals in partnership with the Burlington Public Schools. The Woburn and Burlington Public Schools have done physicals to get students ready to come to school. We've set up, that's the assessment center at the Goodyear, so I know Mr. Dunkley will present tonight as well, but the facilities and custodial crew have done a great job getting us situated for the school year. And throughout the summer, it's always nice. Teachers come. Some teachers were waiting for a rainy day. That never happened, and so. But no, they were in buildings throughout the summer. So it takes a lot to get ready, and we did it. We have 45 new staff that we welcomed into the Woburn Public Schools ranks this year. We had a new teacher orientation at the high school. 12 new paraprofessionals. Also, we're still actually seeking paraprofessionals, so that's an active job ad as well. There are a variety of different topics covered, including curriculum, evaluation, the role of student services, technology, our ML population, and from Bob Alcanada's office, the HR and the onboarding that always happens. One of the cool things that I think we did this year, we've done it in the past couple years, is we take our new staff on a trolley tour. And the trolley actually looks like a school bus, but we call it a trolley tour.
The Woburn Trolley.
It's the Woburn Trolley. So this was, actually it's really well received. The feedback from teachers is they appreciate the opportunity to see the city, and it's conducted, this year Sue Tifo kind of coordinated it, and takes them to all the hot spots, but also around where all the schools are. One of the things that we found in speaking to teachers is you may teach at the Reeves, but never actually make it to North Woburn to see where the Alta Vista or Linscott is. So this just allows everybody right out of the gate the opportunity to see and get a sense of where our kids are coming from when they arrive to their schools. And so that's been a success and well received. Just a couple pictures from the trolley tour. And you can see there's a handbook that goes along with it. It aligns with the Historic Society. And you can see Horn Pond clearly as a landmark in the city. September 6th was Tuesday after Labor Day, the first day back for staff. This year, staff reported to their own schools and were involved in meetings at the school level. They also did some Power School training. I alluded to that earlier, which is that new student management software package. And then a lot of time for work individually in their classrooms or collaboratively at the school. During this time, you can see we did organize to have ice cream trucks go to each of the schools. We had 2 ice cream trucks that we guided through. We had, I think it was approximately 20 minutes per stop. And when we planned ice cream, it was about 110 degrees and sunny. And wouldn't you know, on the day that we're doing the ice cream, it's 65 and raining. But ice cream tastes good in any temperature. So that was kind of a nice way, we thought, to welcome our staff back. And so the next day, on Wednesday, September 7th, we had the full district meet in the auditorium as traditional. We met for approximately half hour as a district. I provided just a little overview with where we were going as a district with this year. the slide on the right, you can't really see it very well, but it's a draft strategic plan kind of highlighting where we were headed. And then the day was spent working collaboratively either across grade level or in department at the high school. So trying to provide opportunity for teachers to and staff to talk with one another and share best practices, and also just to catch up and how was your summer. So this was the first time in 2 years that we've been able to do this. Last year, I think I did a video, and the year before we did like a live feed from in here. So it felt nice to kind of have everybody get back together. And so that was on Wednesday the 7th, and the stars came on Thursday. So we had, by all accounts, a great opening. All the principals, I asked them to check in at the end of the day. Everyone was, Kristen Malone, this is the best year in 5 years, so it was, again, it's not without transportation hiccups, but kids were excited. The weather cooperated. I always pay attention. If it was a nice, bright, sunny day, so people were able to stay outside, get in the lines where they needed to go, and so forth. So turned out really well. And so Thursday and Friday of last week were great success, and it's so nice, as I said, to have everybody back in our schools. And this week, Monday night, we had Sarah Ward came and spoke at the high school. She's an executive functioning strategist, and so she spoke for a couple hours. People stayed late afterwards to ask her questions. And I'll turn it to Maureen, Ryan, and Courtney Young, who really kind of coordinated this effort if people have questions. But what we're trying to do is give families opportunities to hear from experts in their fields to better support their kids at home. The events are free. This event we had pushed out to other districts as well. So I know a woman from Burlington approached me at the end and was appreciative. So we want all kids to be successful, and I think that's what the intent of the speaker series was. And that was only this past Monday, right?
It was this week.
Time flies when you're having fun. So we've been busy over the past few months, and but we're back and up and running. I say questions, and part of this is just my own reminder. In your folder for your own reference, I have enrollments. So in case people were wondering where we were, we have more kindergarten students this year than really ever before. So that's our largest grade. We have 373 kindergarten students this year. It's 27 students higher than it was last year at this time. And so as a district, we have, as of yesterday, 4,309 students enrolled, and we've enrolled over the summer close to 200 students. So it's not, we've talked about this in the past, but it's not static. The numbers from June automatically roll over. And so we did have support this summer in that registration process, which was very helpful because, as you know, you saw us make a couple adjustments during the summer, particularly at kindergarten, with staffing so that we would meet the needs of the kids right out of the gate. And I think we've done that. We'll continue to monitor this as students enroll. So, I mean, we're not done enrolling. It's still, it's an ongoing process. So, anyway, we're excited. Feels good to be back. Feels good to be back, like pre March 2020, to the extent that we can. And so I'll pause there.
Okay. Ms. Cormier, I see you had a question?
Yes. Can you speak to just where we are with the Power School? Is it completely up and running?
Yeah, so the quick answer is yes. It's up and running. Teachers, there was a lot of professional development that happened over the summer. It is, the different users are better at it than others at this point. the secretaries have had significant, they're the heaviest users, really. And then the teachers have professional development that's happened. And so the part that's not ready for prime time is parent access, because teachers need a little bit more practice getting in the grade book before we can put stuff on portals. But that intent is to be in October. Everything will be.
Okay. Did we run into, like, because I know when Ms. Judkins was here in March, she was saying it would be like a month to run it, for it to come up, but then I kind of forgot about it. And then it seemed like maybe it got delayed.
Power School?
Yeah, no?
No,
Okay.
no, there was no delay.
Secondly, the strategic plan draft, where are we in that process?
Yep, so we should have that to you early October. We worked on that over the course of the summer. We had one of the things we didn't put in there, we had a leadership retreat over the summer, so we had 38 people on the leadership team taking a look at it and adding action steps. So we want to make sure that it's vetted by as many people as possible for your approval.
Excellent, thank you.
Sure.
Lipstick.
Just a quick question on enrollment. Noticing, as you pointed out, the large kindergarten. Do we have a sense of whether that's, is this just a bubble year? Does it look like we have any evidence that this is part of a larger trend? I mean, we've been predicting additional enrollments. Obviously, it makes sense given additional housing. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually ask Ms. Ryan to address, because the preschool numbers would help to impact.
Yes, so I think what's important to understand when you look at the preschool and you see 139, students age in at 3 years on their birthday. So we are starting the year with 139. We will end the year, obviously, considerably higher. This is actually a lot to start the year. So we are trending, and I think it's what other districts are seeing as well. Our preschool numbers are considerably higher. So you have to keep that in mind when you see the 139.
Okay. So we're assuming that that's going to continue along into additional kindergarten enrollments and then down the line.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that the kindergarten number, it could be, we won't know. It could be a bubble and then it's a high group, or we could see that we're going to now trend to be at that number each year. I think that's where we don't really know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything? Okay, you all set? Anybody else? Questions? No, I wanted to take the opportunity to let the committee know that I had the privilege of representing you at both the new teacher orientation, the leadership retreat, and the teachers' first day of school, and I was able to convey to them, our gratitude for the work they did. I especially wanted to congratulate the staff that had been here the previous 2 years and the work they did, getting us through, the bulk of the COVID, and I also wanted to thank the administrative team for last year, because I know there was a lot of stress and so forth in the front office. So I just wanted the committee to know that I did provide that to the staff on your behalf. Maybe the superintendent, I know we've gotten you've mentioned busing, and I know we've gotten some calls about, busing, and maybe if you could just talk about that, the special ed transportation, or Maureen, if you want.
So I might NRT is the transportation company, so we're working with NRT. We still have some routes that we're trying to fill. We've reached out to 7 additional companies to try to fill those routes, and I'm working with the other Merrimack Valley superintendents to contact the state to see if they might be able to provide any relief. We worked all weekend to try to come up with solutions. We were not contacted about this until the night before school started, so we didn't have any notice that this was coming. So, I think one of the things we're good at is planning for things, but if we don't have time to plan and come up with plan B, C, D, we're really trying to do this on the fly, and it's a lot of strain on everybody, including the families. And so I want to say, we're doing our best, and it's an imperfect world right now still. We're told that they're actively recruiting more drivers, so hopefully that will come to fruition in the near future.
Okay. Any questions about that?
Just one quick one. I mean, it seems like this has been a pretty consistent issue with NRT over the last couple of years. Do we have a sense of why that's the case with this particular company? Or, I mean, are we seeing this with other specialized transport companies?
Yeah, so I think last year, as we know, NRT had the National Guard come in to drive some of our routes. When this was brought to our attention, it was the night before school started, and we've had many conversations since then, and NRT reported to us that many of their drivers unexpectedly did not return to work as they thought they would. In the conversations we have been having with 7 other transportation companies, there are shortages everywhere. I don't think it's unique to NRT. They are collaborating with us, but it is in fact a very real problem for our families and our students with significant needs. I mean, we can't underestimate the impact on the families.
Thanks.
Sure.
Mr. Kissel?
On that same note, the regular, the school busing that is going on, what's going on with that? Is that all just a couple of glitches on?
Yeah, just
Timing.
timing actually. Routes, in other words, buses arriving earlier than they should, or the people are expecting. So we are working actively with the North Suburban to make sure that doesn't continue to happen.
And I noticed, Mr. Lipson's question, that even if we're all set and it's not a driver issue with North Suburban, I know they had their A bus in the Stop and Shop parking lot, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, if maybe a little sooner, with looking for drivers, kind of thing. So I just think it's just an ongoing issue with every business, not just even the busing industry. There's a lot of buses at the Showcase Cinema for the Orange Line.
Yeah.
Borrow a couple of those. It's about 100 of them there.
Oh, my.
And just, I just want to reiterate that the administration is working on this problem, and and eventually we'll get a solution to it, and we'll try to get it sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing our best.
I just want to add the comment that we're also part of a collaborative,
Yeah.
so we, multiple districts are all
Yeah.
rowing in the same direction, trying to solve the problem
Yep.
too. So I think this just helps point
Yep.
out, Seam is working
All
on
right.
it.
Well, just keep
All hands on deck.
just keep the committee informed, and if there's something we can do at the committee level to help, let us know. If we have to appeal to our state legislators, if we need state help or something to make them aware.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So you want to pass it on?
Sure. So I think next
Dave?
on the agenda is Mr. Dunkley, update on facilities.
So those of you who have been on the committee, this is a tradition. We have Mr. Dunkley come in and tell us all the work that they do during the summer, in addition to the usual work that they do throughout the year.
Boy, I'd like to say we did nothing. It was great to have a normal opening,
Yep.
so that was super. A lot of times I'm still asked, school's closed, what do you do during the summer? People think this department has the summer off. We don't. We're very busy. It seems like our schools are being used more and more for summer programs. It's great, but it does impact our ability to clean and get work done. The custodians, they do deep cleaning during the summer, from the lights, the walls, the furniture, and then they do the floors. We've had several schools doing a bunch of painting projects, custodians doing the work. We had not as many summer kids that we've had before COVID, so I put a summer kid into every school to help the custodians, and then the custodians were responsible for ground clearing, mowing for the summer. This year it seemed like we had a lot of teachers that were being moved within the schools, in between schools, especially at the end of the summer. I'm not used to having 7 to 8 teachers move between buildings at 2 days before school starts. Maintenance, they also had a great year. They go through, they test, inspect all the emergency lights, exit signs, respond to all the cooling calls. We worked with Kevin Scally, we installed 12 more bottle filling stations throughout the district. Maintenance did a great job. They totally renovated replaced the kitchen downstairs here in Kate Campbell's room for SPED. We turned the music room at the Goodyear into the assessment center. And then we blew out the wall over here, and a load-bearing wall, and that involved structural engineer, steel. We had to take down 3 ceilings, shoring engineers, shoring companies, and that finishes up the project that we started a year ago to have a secured vestibule for the middle school at this building. We have our contractors. We have annual cleaning service of numerous items, the boilers, the hot water heaters, fire alarm testing. Every device in every school, the fire sprinklers are tested and serviced. All the carpets are cleaned by our steam extractor. We clean out all the grease traps. The fire extinguishers are serviced, tagged. Kitchen hoods are serviced. Plumbing repairs, Scally has a list of small things throughout every school. And then replenishing the playground fiber. And we've had contractors in all summer. We refinished the gym floor at the Goodyear. We had some fence repair at the high school, Kennedy and Goodyear. We had a contractor in doing extensive gym equipment repair throughout all the schools. We had some catch basin repair work, pothole repaired. We repaved the back access road at the high school behind the football field. We replaced the carpet in Ernie Wells's office for the new principal. That was a great tease with Ernie, because I said I would never do it while he was here. We had a lot of tree work done at the Goodyear, Linscott, in the high school in Shamrock, and I think if we all remember last spring, we had a teacher hurt at the Goodyear with a limb that came down. So if you go down and look at the Goodyear, we cut way back along the fence line. We replaced exterior doors at the Alta Vista and down here at the link in the gym going out back. And we replaced several mini split units. High school, Reeves and Shamrock, those were for head end rooms and the media center control booth. And then we have, lawn sprinkler repairs from some of our jobs. And we had some roof repairs at the high school, Joyce and Goodyear. And then we do still have some contractor projects in process. A big one is we're replacing the video servers up at the high school. Everything we have in the district is Pelco for our security cameras. Nothing supported anymore. It's obsolete. So the high school's the first phase. Now we'll have some spare parts, but we'll continue to do replacement as we can. We're refurbishing 200 windows at the high school, and the issue there is the balances are shot. You try to open a window and it drops immediately, catch your fingers, so that's not good. So we have a contractor in there for that. Waiting for pricing to replace 2 hot water heaters at the high school and 1 at the Reeves. The biggest project that's outgoing right now is we are replacing the entire fire alarm system at the White School. We missed the window by 2 weeks, so the project has been pushed out to December, and that was a supply chain issue. But we'll get there. And we have some issues with elevators. Elevators are getting very expensive right now. In the past year, they're enforcing a part of the code that was never enforced before, and it has to do with fire alarm recall, fire department recall. And even if it wasn't enforced, it's not even grandfathered anymore, and the state's pushing it. And like at the high school, I just signed the repair order for $24,000 to get that done. When this first started this past spring, it was about $3,000 an elevator. Now we're up to $6,000 to $8,000, and every one of our elevators has failed. Every elevator in the state has failed. So that's going to be an expensive repair. So that's a quick summary of what's going on, and again, we were a little busy.
Do you have any questions? Ms. Chisholm?
You answered most of my questions, so the bills this time will be short-lived, because all the stuff that you talked about was in our bill packet, so I was just wondering what you were doing, so I'm excited that we got some answers for that. And I just want to make a comment, when the police used the Malcolm White for training,
Yes, they did.
they were very impressed about how clean the school was and how accommodating everybody was for that. But one of my questions was that I think that maybe if we can work with the chief somehow, I think every police officer in the city should go through every single one of our schools. Because if they respond and they go to the brief school and they're told to go to the cafeteria, there's a large group of those police officers who don't know, do I go right, do I go left? Just so that it's part of that training on site to be accessed into our schools. So that's something that we could do that would be awesome.
I think the superintendent can pass that along because he's working with the
Yeah,
consultant.
just because I think it's important, because they were very impressed with the white, and most of them had gone through the high school when it opened. They did do that whole training with them, but I just think that's important. And it could be,
It would be.
yeah,
Yep.
just something we need to just address. But and then the resource officer at the office at the Hurl One, was that the room right to the right when you walk in? Because when I was in there helping a certain teacher prepare for class, that the walls were destroyed in there. Was that from like pictures hanging up, or?
That was left, there was pictures on the wall, and when the staff member left at the end of the school year, they just ripped the pictures right off. And we had to bring in a contractor to skim the walls, repair the walls, and then finish up and paint them.
Oh my God, it was, yeah, I was appalled. That's just.
Yes, yep.
Okay, all right.
All set?
Yep,
Mr. Crowley?
thank you for everything you do with your team.
Thank you.
I just had a question about the replacing the kitchen in the special ed classroom at the Joyce. That sounds exciting.
Can I answer that?
I would love that.
It's
yes.
awesome. They did an incredible job. It's state of the art. It's a washer and dryer, a dishwasher, stove top. It's absolutely beautiful. If you have the opportunity, you should take a look. They did just a fantastic job, and I'm really thrilled that the kids will have this opportunity to work on their life skills. It's terrific.
And a good thing about that project
Yeah.
is the guys actually see what they did. And one of my guys likes to play with wood, and he had to play with wood. So when he has a chance to do some cutting, he's into it.
That is awesome. So now these kids have an opportunity to learn those skills. I think we need to visit that classroom.
We even brought one sink down to handicap level. So we thought about it, and there was a lot of input into it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Duffy.
All set?
Yeah, that was my only question.
Any other questions? I had, just wanted to clarify, the alarm system at the White School is still functional, though.
It is functional, yes.
Yeah, we'll make clear. And then, have we let staff know, some, staff comes from out of the city, and I know we're, as residents, we've all gotten the notice about the PFAS, and, we have a lot of young teachers, that may be pregnant or maybe, and so we should really make sure they understand the water situation in Woburn and, make sure we have alternative sources for them. They should at least be aware of the water situation, and maybe we should do something about letting the staff know, just sending out the letter that the mayor sent everybody in the community. So.
I don't know what the levels are right now.
No, he sent one to, I wouldn't expect you to, but I think it's important that we let our staff know if they come from out of the city, okay, we just don't want anybody unaware of what's going on in the movement. And it sounds like there's a, I don't want to scare people, but it sounds like there's a plan, but, people that are pregnant or breastfeeding, I think, are at more of a risk, and so they should take precautions, at least that's what the letter said. So, just FYI.
Yeah. Do you remember when that letter was sent?
I thought we got it like
Last week.
Yeah, it was
last week.
I can send you a copy.
Yeah, would you forward it to me, and I'll get it to everybody? Yeah, thank you.
All right.
I just- One quick question. For
What's going
the grease traps, is it a specific cleaning out that only happens annually? Like how, is that just standard
So it's
maintenance?
an annual cleaning at all the schools but the high school. So we've had, years ago, we've had issues where the drain lines have backed up into the kitchen. And what we found by cameraing the sewer lines under the slab go like this. And the grease traps, they're 5,000 gallons, are out at the front of the building the kitchen's in the back, so it has a long way to travel, and not only is it going like this, it's taking a right turn, a right left turn, a right turn. It's not a straight shot. So at the high school in August, we drain the grease traps, clean them totally out, and we snake and we pressure wash all the drain lines all the way out to the tank. And then twice a year, I take 5,000 out of the tanks. And ever since we've started this program, we've never had a backup again.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Was there anything unexpected this summer? Or, there's always, large-scale unexpected costs or anything besides the increase in cost, like.
The elevators is.
Yeah. And could you just explain exactly, so that people, we know, and hopefully people at home, what exactly is the feature that they want and what does it do?
It's for the elevator fire recall.
Yeah.
So basically is if the fire department comes in
Yep.
and they take control
Yep.
and they go up to a floor and that smoke detector's tripped
Yeah.
outside the elevator, the doors will not open.
Okay.
And then they can, it has to do with the key inside. Once they if they hold the key
Yeah.
open, they can force the doors
Okay.
open on that floor.
Okay.
But if the flame is right there,
Yeah.
it's to shut the doors quicker.
Okay. Yeah, so that way people know that it's an emergency. So it's not an everyday.
It's not a daily operational
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, thank you. We're all set. Thank you again, and thank your team for the work
Yep,
they did
I will
this.
pass that on.
And the work that they're doing during the year.
All right, thank you. Everyone have a good night.
Thanks, Dave. So one of the items that's going on right now is a feasibility study that we've talked about here at the committee level. We engaged with this process over the summer, and Mr. Alcanada can provide an update. It's actively begun, so if you want to talk about that.
Yep, as Dr. Crowley had indicated, Danisco Design was awarded the bid. They won the bid over the summer. And last month, we held our kickoff meeting with Danisco to review the scope of the feasibility study, to set a timeline, parameters, and a working plan or an action plan in motion. And so that was quite a productive meeting last month. They have been out to 4 schools already. The Alta Vista, Reeves, Linscott, and Shamrock. They come out every Wednesday, and they will have 4 additional Wednesdays where they'll do the remaining 3 elementary schools, the middle schools, and the high school. The timeline is essentially broken into 4 phases, although those phases may and will overlap. The first phase is an existing conditions report. They want to understand what shape the buildings are in right now. They're going through the buildings, as I said, on Wednesday. They'll be looking at the plumbing, electrical, mechanical systems, building envelope, site conditions, other things as well. Those are just the major things. At some point in the near future, they're going to look at the current space for educational programming, and that's when Mrs. Ryan and Mrs. Young, along with Dr. Crowley, will be engaged in looking at the educational programming, long-term educational needs, programs, etc. So that will be the second phase. The third phase will primarily be looking at the Wyman School, the old Wyman School, to determine how feasible it is to bring that back online, should we choose to. As you know, part of the scope of this plan was to take a look at that building to see if we could put future programming there, administrative offices, what have you, to get that back online and how much it will cost. And then, of course, the final phase will be the release of the report, which we expect to be in the spring, assuming everything goes according to plan. It will be in the spring, and we expect that this will be a blueprint, or more of a blueprint. It will be a roadmap for us, for this district over the next 10 years to make sure that our buildings are maintained properly. And there'll be options and there that we may be able to choose from, engage the city side as well. And so that is what is happening right now with these building studies. So we're very excited to work with Danisco and to get this done, and so that all of you can begin to make some capital decisions for the school system.
Okay. You have any questions? What's the timeline for us getting the report?
In the spring, the draft report will probably be, it's going to be late winter, early spring for a draft report that we'll be able to work with an internal management document.
Okay.
Probably the final report to the public will be later in the spring.
Okay. Anything else? And since just talk, I want if you could work with Mrs. Chisholm's finance and just when you have your next meeting, just discuss the issue of inflation and how that's affecting our budget. So the committee, I'm sure, we budgeted to buy things and now they're more expensive than we were budgeting. So we can have a better handle on where our budget's going to be with regard to the inflationary index. Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving along.
The next agenda item, Student Success Speaker Series, I alluded to earlier. But again, credit really belongs with Assistant Superintendents, Ms. Ryan and Ms. Young, to coordinate this. And I think it might be beneficial to the committee, but also to any community members that are listening to kind of hear the idea, the vision, and who's coming, at least in the near future.
So Ms. Young and I put together a lineup for the year of speakers. We had some input from various staff members and conversations with some different families. And it is a variety of topics, scheduled. It's typically once a month. There are a couple of months where we have two. But we have speakers covering different issues. We have Bonnie Singer will be joining us to do an interactive workshop with writing for families geared for the home. We have Dr. Ann Helmus, Melissa Orkin, Jeff Parati. We have Jessica Smith is coming, Laura Oliver. We're focusing on academics to self-care, to learning disabilities. We really tried to cover a broad spectrum of topics, and we're hopeful that this will help parents and caregivers to engage with their students and to collaborate with us so that our students are successful this year. So we're excited about it. We had more than 80 families came out for Sarah Ward, so I think we're off to a great start.
I was just going to add that even though it's geared towards parents, we've had a lot of our educators who have come, so it was great to see a lot of them on Monday night, as well as we really worked to find speakers who are working directly in our schools. So although they're not only speaking to our families, there are many of the individuals that are coming in and working directly with our staff. So when we're really looking at kind of comprehensive kind of wraparound that's not only working with students, our staff, and our family members. So they kind of really have a deeper understanding of our school community, especially when they're working with our families. And a lot of them are doing PD or doing presentations, work consultations directly with our educators, as well as working with families, which is nice.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Lipset.
Wanted to make sure we let the public know when the next event is, maybe a little bit, a couple in advance. People can write down calendars.
So I think it's October 6th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And that's a Monday night, and it's at 6:30. It's always going to be 6:30, and it's always going to be at the high school. And the next speaker is Dr. Pitsamai Oy, who is a professor at University of Massachusetts Lowell in their ed program. But she does a lot of consulting around EL, or now ML, family work. She's consulted with multiple districts throughout the Commonwealth and speaks about navigating schools for ML families. There's a lot of acronyms that we use in schools, and we want to make sure that all families understand, what we're talking about and what they can do to advocate for their kids. So, and then the next one, I believe, is the 13th.
Yes.
And again, that's Monday at 6:30. And is that?
October 6th is a Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's
I
just a Thursday.
I
It
just
is-
want to make sure you,
Oh,
people, if
sorry,
they're hearing this,
sorry.
that they've got the right
Do I have the right date?
dates might be
You
right,
do, October 6th
Yeah.
and October 13th.
but those
Okay,
are
sorry.
Thursdays.
Are they-
Thursday,
yes.
sorry. So
All
then,
right, just wanna make sure.
thank you. I apologize. I'm going off the memory.
That's all right.
So,
Yeah. So I went to find it.
yeah. And is that Bonnie Singer?
Nope, that is Melissa Orkin.
Melissa Orkin, so-
Yep, working on child literacy development, and she does a lot around working with students with dyslexia, but really also just kind of any reading strategies working and supporting students at home.
Ms. Cormier?
I know, sort of tangentially related, and it's early in this semester season, but the Soar Program, can we get an update on how that's going at the Malcolmite?
Sure. So we're only a few days in. It is, I would say, at capacity. It is very full. We are still working on balancing groupings, different areas, staff, making sure that we have the right fits. But I would say we're off to a good start. It is fuller than what I think I had anticipated for the start of school. But we are seeing already, only a few days into the year, a significant amount of move-ins. And we're still making sure that we have students in the correct spots where they will be most successful.
Great, thank you.
And just one last thing, we do actually have Bonnie Singer will be starting in the program next week as a regular consultant to that program, working with us to ensure it's successful.
Great, thank you.
Anything else? I want to thank them for their,
Sorry.
Yep.
I put my finger up, you just didn't.
sorry. Yep. Yes, my,
How did you get these experts to come to Woburn? What, was it just voluntary?
how? Come to Woburn?
No, I know. I know why I'm in Woburn.
I'll let Maureen speak a bit. A lot of it is that Maureen had a lot of, connections with a lot of people too prior to coming to Woburn, but I think, and we kind of talk about this a lot, is that we work very hard to kind of look at all of our students as all of our students, and that they don't necessarily someone that just is part of my department or Maureen's department. And a lot of the kind of different consultants that work with us very much want it to be kind of that methodology. And so I think it goes a long way in terms of a lot of the support that we put in place, but also the fact that we mean it when we say that it's a collaborative approach, and that means a lot for them.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think when I first came to Woburn, I had asked, I have long relationships with some of these speakers, and when I first came to Woburn, they were not ready to join us, and that has changed. And I think a big piece of it is that we're really looking at our students as a whole, that we work very closely, and we want our students to be included, and we want all of our staff to have the tools that they need. And we don't want to look at special education as sort of a separate island. We really want to be inclusive, and I think that these people recognize that and appreciate that, and I think they enjoy working with communities where there is that degree of collaboration.
And I will say that those who worked with us last year and have coming back this year with even more time have given a tremendous amount of praise for the staff in our buildings and just how receptive they are and how they're just really wonderful to work with. And I mean, I hear it every single time that they really do they really love to come and work with our staff and our community. So
That's awesome.
kudos to them.
And I got a couple of questions about whether or not the presentations were recorded or available to, not. No.
Yeah, that's
I know. But just making sure that that's
We
not the
try.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They own their stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for answering my questions.
Any other questions? Yeah, I want to appreciate that. On my long plane ride home today, I was fortunate enough to read an editorial about the partnerships between parents and schools, and, to help with the educational gap caused by COVID. And I think one of the things we're doing is we're providing information to parents so they can help support their students. So it's a partnership, so thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to assign a couple of things to subcommittees. Ms. Young, if you can work with Mr. Mulrennan when you get a hold of him, with the Education Subcommittee to talk about the summer program and things that happened over the summer, so he can report out at his.
Yep.
And then, Ms. Ryan, if you could work with Ms. Crowley to sort of discuss the, influx of new students and where we're at with that, the special ed program. All right, great. Okay, no other questions? Then we'll move on to school committee calendar for 2022, 2023. Just around the corner. My
Couple of
term is
changes.
ending.
One change.
Couple changes.
Yeah,
Oh, all right. November 8th
Yep.
is Election Day.
yep.
So you want to do the week, because we have a program on the 9th, I think.
Well, usually we only have one meeting, and just, so do we want to pick one in the middle, like
15th.
15th or something?
Does that work?
The 15th would be a Tuesday.
November 15th? Is
Yeah.
that okay.
Actually, my mother's birthday, November 8th.
That won't work?
Yeah.
The 10th.
Yeah. In
15th.
December 28th and February 22nd, I think both of those
Oh, all
are
right.
school vacations.
Yep.
Before we go, so we are picking the 15th?
Yeah, we'll just, if we all agree on these, we'll just do them all at once.
I would know if we had
I
voted
think
on
we
it.
just get rid of December 28th.
Yes.
Yeah.
We only need one
Yeah.
December.
Right.
I was going to say, January 2nd is actually it's a holiday.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a need for us to meet, that's a city council, the charter thing for that. We can either meet the 3rd or we can do the 10th.
Rebel.
Huh?
Rebellious.
I know, but it's really a city org chart, organizational meeting.
I
that-
like it.
Do you want to just meet on the 10th and do that as part of the regular meeting, like just before we do it, or do you want to do it a separate day?
We probably should do a separate day, because then the new chairman would have to
Okay.
set the agenda. and all
Okay,
that.
so we could do the next day, the 3rd, then?
That's fine.
Yep. Okay.
Don't let the extra day go to your head.
Well,
Yeah.
you won't believe, I'll be like the lame duck president with all my and pardons and legislation.
Make all your appointments. Shadow cabinet.
So what's different?
We go.
And what did we-
February the 8th.
And February 22nd is a school vacation, I believe.
It is,
So, yes, I don't know if everybody wants to.
No.
Yeah.
like we
Let's
don't-
see, is this the 29th year? No. No. Okay. Why don't we eliminate that one, and we can figure out whether we need a second meeting in February as we get closer?
Because hopefully we'll be starting the budget process. by
Right.
then, or-
So
we'll have a
technically, the
lot of meetings
7th is
after
the
that.
first Tuesday, so if we did the 14th or 15th, that would be right in the middle, and that would actually be the...
Okay, so if we do February
Okay, wait.
14th, and,
Oh, Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day.
Well-
Instead of the 7th or in addition to?
no, I think in replacement, I think Colleen's saying the 7th. So it should be the 14th.
That's Valentine's Day.
Take her out the night before.
That's fine.
14th,
Save money.
and then,
Good.
Every day's Valentine's Day.
Or
in
bring
the
her here.
house.
That'll go over
How
well.
many more
School committee date night, it'll be great.
all right, why don't we just put the 14th in, and then we'll determine if we need what we're going to do with that second meeting in February. As
And
we
want a
get,
little red heart next to it, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get this little.
Yeah.
this little-
We'll decorate the room.
Yeah.
I mean,
The chair will have to provide
You can
candy
tell
for
when
all the
you're with the
members or
crowd.
something.
I know. like,
Okay,
bye.
anything else?
And then the June 28th, do we usually cancel that ahead of time, or we wait till
Yeah,
closer?
that's right.
Yeah.
We don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, right. Who knows what the future holds? Yeah.
The
I
shadow.
think we've gone far enough into the future. The shadow knows.
That's a deep cut.
Miss Mulrennan usually has some.
Well, but he's not working anymore.
I asked him ahead of time, he didn't have anything off the top of
He's
his
RV
head.
shopping, so he'll be.
He might be-
taking it
All
on the
right,
road.
so just to reiterate, we've changed November 8th to November 15th. We've eliminated the December 28th meeting, and we're having an organizational meeting on January 3rd.
And did we eliminate November 30th too?
That's close to my birthday.
Jesus, you're,
Yes, we did. We went in the middle.
yeah,
November
yeah, we did
15th.
just
Yeah,
November.
we can just do that, too.
Yeah,
We'll
I thought
take
it
out
was
November
15th
3rd.
only.
All right.
Yeah.
Been a
And
long
then
time.
we've moved the February 7th to the 14th.
Yes.
Okay. Are you all set, Jean? Did you get them?
I did.
Okay. All right. So I have a motion to approve the altered calendar.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to subcommittee reports. Ms. Chisholm, Finance Subcommittee.
We did meet on July 13th at 9 o'clock here at the Joyce with Colleen Cormier, Chris Kissel, and myself, with Assistant Superintendent Bob Alcanada and Patty McKinnon. We approved the list of bills for the committee. Packet 1 was $1,595,684.45. Packet 2, $220,380.34. Packet 3 was $89,285.51. Packet 4 was $1,278,177.42. Packet 5 was $9,043.66. We reviewed the list of bills, and we submitted questions, and answers provided, and the motion was made to approve 3-0 to the committee.
Yep. All right. Any questions or comments? So we have a motion to approve the list of bills.
Motion to approve.
We have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Discussions were made on the overage of the graduation expenses, like we're talking today. Things are going up.
This was a different meeting?
No, this is the same meeting,
Yeah, okay.
but this was one of the
Okay.
topics that, because
Okay.
it was over, but it wasn't anything that wasn't needed. It was just that prices had gone up so
Yep.
much that that line item was up significantly. So
Yep.
they will correct it next year when we're budgeting that. And there was an issue with employee with COBRA, and that was taken care of too for the insurance, and that was resolved. And we had journal entries. One was for 2,303,216. One was for 80,860.71. One was for 6,729.41, and one was for 660.31. And we approved those
Okay.
also. And that was it. And we didn't meet because the City Hall was having an issue with the new
Okay.
billing system, so we will be meeting next week. City Hall was having an issue with the new
Okay.
billing system, so we will be meeting next week.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Finance? No. Okay, moving along to Communications Subcommittee. Mr. Lipset.
Yes, we met the morning of July 26th. Actually, we met immediately following SSA. I don't
Yep.
know if Ms. Crowley wants to go first to keep it in that order.
No.
So we started around 9:30 immediately after SSA. We were joined by Ms. Young, Ms. Ryan, Ms. Julie Cotton from CPAC, and school committee members, Ellen Crowley and myself, were in attendance. We met here at the Joyce. Ms. Cotton provided some results from a CPAC member survey on communications, looking at some of the big takeaways were improving context around district announcements and changes, and making sure, especially in both district communication and school committee meetings, that we try to make sure to provide definitions of some of the acronyms and terms and jargon, for lack of a better term, that we sometimes come across in education. Ms. Young and Ms. Ryan outlined some ideas for enhancing our district communications, our outreach, including potentially some public meet and greets, communication survey for the school committee, for the school community, and we'll be developing that, I imagine, as we go. We talked a little bit about making communications a sort of a clear goal for the district, taking sort of the opportunity coming out of a pandemic, as we are, to re-envision how we communicate with the public. And other topics we discussed included, upcoming changes to the district website, flow charts on who to contact. I know that some of those are already in existence and in progress. Staff communications protocols, student services newsletter or other regular communications. And certainly the results of the community survey would help guide this. Ms. Ryan also updated the subcommittee on equitable medical access events, one of which took place in August, and do we have another one coming up?
September 19th.
Okay. So September 19th as well, for providing school-required physicals and other things for families in need, and we adjourned at 10:15.
Okay. Any questions for communication? I know the state did extend the ability of school committees to meet, video, and we had, in your subcommittee had talked about that, and so actually I want to put that back on the burner for next meeting.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that's where how we're going to interact with the public. There was a discussion about letting the public, comment on meetings virtually and things like that. Okay, so we'll get that back on track. Okay, And do you want to talk about your communication with the MSAC and helping us with our education training?
So over the summer, Dr. Trolley had brought up the possibility of a training for school committee members on a variety of things, sort of a norms, roles, responsibilities workshop. So I reached out to the Mass Association of School Committees, and we will be having a workshop on the morning of September 24th at 9 a.m. With school committee members and Dr. Crowley in attendance, along with our school committee representative from MASC, Dorothy Presser, to sort of go over, a brush up on roles and responsibilities for school committee members.
And MASC stands for?
I'm sorry, MASC is the Mass Association for School Committees.
For the whole people.
Talking about acronyms.
Yeah, there's an act.
Yeah.
Did already say.
On behalf of the committee, especially myself, I want to thank you, Mr. Lipset, for taking the charge on that
Happy to do it.
and saving the community money. And Jean, could you just post that? You should probably just post it as a meeting because we're all together in case we say something. Yeah.
24th. Saturday the 24th.
Saturday, 24th, 9 o'clock. Yep. And you can just put it's a training session.
Maybe I'll come watch.
Yep. Okay. So,
We'll bring the coffee.
Joan, that should be posted probably as an executive, correct?
no,
Yeah, it's gonna go.
no, it's a training session.
Okay.
It's not,
So folks can show up if they want
yeah.
to?
If people want to spend
What's
their
that?
Saturday
Yeah.
mornings with us.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky, it's a training session. It doesn't meet any of the executive.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Training.
Thank you. Personnel Subcommittee.
Yes,
Let me
we
in.
met on Thursday, July 14th, in the conference room for the superintendent at 8 a.m. In attendance was myself, Ms. Chisholm, Mr. Kissel, Mr. Alcanada, Ms. Ryan, Ms. Young, and Ms. Boyajin. There was an update on family and community engagement. A lot of this is going to be stale, obviously, it's 2 months old. Ms. Young met with Nellie, who fostered great relationships with families and staff to discuss the family and community engagement liaison position. Her schedule, she did accept that position. It'll be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday for 25 hours per week during the school year. One of our nurses worked over the summer with registration and facilitating access to physical exams and vaccinations through the expanded medical access clinic at the Marshall Simons Middle School in Burlington. We did have on the 18th of August a clinic. We are not yet doing vaccinations there, but that is moving forward. They did get a refrigerator. And also in the collaboration with the Woburn Board of Health nurse, Allison Roche, who is currently doing vaccinations. Job description was provided for the Family and Community Engagement Liaison Assistant, which is 19 hours per week. 4 of the Title I teachers will be more involved with the family engagement, with family events and encouraging continued learning at home going forward. And we discussed a welcoming or onboarding event to welcome new families to the district. Update on curriculum and instruction. A job description was provided for after-hours clinicians to provide services at after-school programs for up to 12 hours per week. This is budgeted for 3 positions, and we're hoping for at least 2. Job descriptions were provided for elementary curriculum coordinator, which will replace one of the innovation coaches who moved to an elementary librarian position at the Reeves.
At 4 different schools.
Right.
Yeah. One of them is the Reeves.
And that person moved to the open position at the high school. Update on student services, working on building structure while recovering from COVID, making sure that the sped queue doesn't become too inflated. Middle schools went from 14% sped to about 30%, and Ms. Ryan mentioned how the students need a robust tier 2 and more consistency in the principal's reporting. Job description provided for student services compliance manager. This is a position that will be changing slightly, incorporating responsibilities of the 504 manager, including confirming signed consents, procedural safeguards, and thoughtful transitions for students from elementary to middle school. They'll be handling PRS complaints, BSEA litigation, civil rights, and Title IX, and currently doing 504 training with the building principals 2 months ago. Job description was also provided for the interim director of student services. Formerly, this was going to be called the assistant director of student services. This person to be working with coordinators, team chairs, and day-to-day operations, and more work will be needed than anticipated in the areas of 504s, and if I'm not mistaken, we have hired this position, if you want to speak to that after. At the time, we had 81 out-of-district students and 14 in the queue, so the position of the out-of-district coordinator was reinstated, or planned to be reinstated. Another coordinator was going to be requested in the next budget. And we're looking to adjust the BCBA's to have a role in Tier 2 supports for social emotional learning as well as SPED. And Ms. Ryan is working with Kendra Stinson to put some things together. The SOAR program description at the time was going to be provided before school started. Are we cool? And that would feature 2 teachers, 4 paras, covering 4 grades with potentially 23 students. We had a stipend update. System administrator is taking on extra responsibility in implementing PowerSchool outside of their regular duties, so a $5,000 stipend for the summer was provided. Ms. Chisholm made a motion to approve the stipend and the positions presented. And we discussed personnel potentially taking over policy, which had been dissolved in place of the communication subcommittee, so we could continue updating and affirming the policy manual and taking some of the policies that are still on the table off. And that has since been updated, and Dr. Crowley will provide us with an update next meeting.
Yep.
We adjourned at 8:57 a.m. The end.
Okay, any questions?
I have a question. What does SOAR stand for? Does it stand for?
You have to ask me that. Structured opportunities for academic readiness.
Excellent. Thank you.
And at this time, I think Dr. Crowley can just talk about some of the positions that are still being filled within the system.
Yeah, so again, I think I alluded to it earlier. We're still actively trying to hire paraprofessionals for different areas in the district, all grade levels. The most profound need is at the elementary level. And we also have a couple postings for, I believe, a couple classroom teachers, resource room teachers. So those are still active and posted. So schoolspring.com is where to go, but also on our website, or call our office, and we will happily engage in a conversation as it relates to employment within the Woburn Public Schools. I will tell you that, and I appreciate the city taking the lead on this. There was an increase for the crossing guards that was passed within the last few weeks. And I know that leading up to school that we had a shortage of crossing guards projected, and the increase in pay, I forget the exact amounts, but 19 and 24. So that was enough. So I want to thank the city for that, because it allowed us to, I think we got multiple people interested almost overnight. So thank you for that.
Any questions? I just want to, with regard to the classroom teachers they're looking for, they're currently being filled by long-term subs, so nobody should think that we have kids with no
Right.
teachers.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you.
So, okay, great. Okay, Resource and Capital Planning Subcommittee.
We have not met recently, but September 21st, 9:45, we will be speaking about the feasibility study, which Bob Alconado talked about a little bit tonight. Practice field lights, practice field renovation, back to the feasibility early draft. The early spring will be the draft on the feasibility, and later spring a final report. And then I've added one other item, it's probably the water quality check, since that came up tonight.
Yep.
Just the yearly one that we do anyways.
Right, for lead.
To
Yep.
see if everything's, how everything's looking.
Okay, good.
You got my email, I'm assuming. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So.
Any questions for Resource? Student Services and Achievement Subcommittee.
Yes.
Trolley.
Mr. Chair, we met on 8 a.m. on July 26th, immediately prior to the comms meeting. Present was myself, Mr. Lipset, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Maureen Ryan, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, Courtney Young, and Mr. Mulrennan. My topics were very similar to Ms. Cormier, because she got the personnel update. So again, family engagement, 25 hours a week. Nellie's working 25 hours a week. Title I teachers can fill in gaps of family engagement because that's covered under Title I. As the committee knows, there were counselors hired for community partners to provide counseling to kids after hours. Those have been hired. The second topic was we looked at our homeschool policy to make sure it was more in compliance with Charles, I didn't put them on the table tonight because I know the superintendent and chair are looking at ways to present policies in a different way. But we literally only changed one line, or proposing that we change one line of the policy, so they'll go on the table soon. Again, these are a little out of date because it was July, but ESY we might need to increase the budget line item for next year. It was challenging to find personnel for ESY, but ESY is over. ESY stands for Extended Year Services, also called Summer Services. At the time, Ms. Ryan, I'm sure, was working on 504s. That still is the case. 504 plans are plans that are accommodation plans for children that have disabilities. And she was working on creating a database and cleaning up the structure of 504 plans. 26 new staff to Woburn. At the time, in July, we had 3 BCBAs to hire, 2 teachers to teach at Gain, 1 teacher to teach at the Gain program at Kennedy. Always looking for a teacher of the visually impaired. That's always a tough teacher to fill. Courtney filled the committee in on the physical and vaccination initiatives that the district is doing. And I forgot, Julie Cotton also gave the committee some updates on CPAC. I'm sure you're all very aware that there was a meeting on August 1st for CPAC, which is now out of date. And then our subcommittee adjourned at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any questions? I do have a request. If you, I don't think you need your full subcommittee, could meet with CPAC. I got an email while I was away about resources, and if you could be the facilitate with the administration and CPAC to make sure, because I think there's, I'm pretty sure in the law it says about how we're supposed to support CPAC, and I think there's some concern about the resources they might need for their subcommittee.
Absolutely.
If you could do that, that would be
I'd be
appreciated.
happy to.
And also, that reminds me, if we should put CPAC on the agenda for the next meeting. I promised them I would give them more visibility because they do important work. So, okay. Anything else? Okay, that finishes our our subcommittees. Correspondence, I forwarded to Ms. McLeod just a few minutes ago. A couple of correspondence I've gotten. One about the transportation issue, and the one about the CPAC issue. Anybody else have any correspondence? And do we have open the first meeting with the teachers? Do we have that scheduled yet, or the night where they bring all the parents in and they give a broad overview of what's happening?
Back to school night?
Yeah, back to school night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Okay, for.
Yeah, those
Elementary.
are scheduled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, as a parent, yeah, that's one thing you miss when you're a parent to school-age children. But and that'll be exciting for the parents to get in and talk to their teachers face to face. Okay. Anything else under correspondence?
Nope.
Future agenda item.
Yes, Bob Davis, who's the Veterans Affairs.
Yep.
Now, I wanted to just check back about, now that he's probably
Yep.
settled, about having him
Well,
come in and chat with us.
Why don't we get him maybe the last meeting in October, just before Veterans Day? Yeah. So we'll keep that in mind.
Bob Davis.
And that reminds me, though you had talked to me about the wellness subcommittee and
Not a subcommittee.
committee.
Yeah.
Yes. I think with COVID, the wellness committee had sort of wasn't well. I know Mr. Kissel was the last person I remember to hold that esteemed position. I think we should.
I did it.
Oh, you did it
Yeah.
after.
She was, I was like early on, the early
Oh.
stages when
Yeah.
we talk about Gatorade and
Yeah.
candy
Okay.
bars.
But I think, Ms. Cormier, it is supposed to be a committee that's supposed to be a standing committee, and so we should get that going
Yeah,
and
we-
have a school committee.
We talked about this
Yeah.
today, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so we'll get that back.
Okay. And my guess is, so we've gone from Mr. Kissel to Ms. Crowley, and I think Ms. Cormier is sort of interested in that.
I was out of
Well,
Macau
I don't want to
voucher.
feel like I'm forcing it on you, like I made you do two
Which I haven't done yet, by the way.
Anyway, so if you'd like to do that,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Fine.
Okay. Anything else? If you have other future agenda, I do think we want to talk about student achievement. There was a lot of talk about the loss, educational loss due to COVID, and maybe we could talk about, how our students are doing, based on our own testing, and then also what our plans are to help students. So that's at least one thing.
We are,
You have-
fortunately, I was just going to say fortunately because we did a lot of the stuff at the end of the
Yeah.
year, we're not doing benchmark until early October.
Right, but you probably have results from the end of last year.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you want fresh
No.
data, we'll wait.
Yeah, whenever you have
Okay.
things, we'll just put it, I just want to put it as a future agenda item.
Great.
And then just back to the program descriptions, I think last I knew they were with the lawyers?
They went to subcommittee.
Oh,
Yes.
excellent.
We actually talked about them a little bit at the subcommittee, and we have a CPAC night coming up where I was going to walk through them with families.
Great.
Yeah.
So maybe our meeting is after that?
Sure.
Yeah, excellent, great.
Could you just reiterate?
What was the question? I didn't hear
The question is about the program descriptions for the special ed programs.
Program descriptions, okay.
No, we have some nice visuals.
Okay.
Acronyms.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll solve some of the problems that we've alluded to tonight, and the smooth opening will continue, and we'll get everybody in the right classroom and and to the right school with the transportation, so. All right, thank you. Anything else?
No,
Otherwise,
motion to adjourn.
take a motion to adjourn. We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Tell me about your dad.